Everyone, as we get started, we will take this moment to give God grace and glory. Thank you, Father God, for bringing us together, enlarging our territories, touching our hearts and our minds, that they are renewed and restored and blessed by you, Lord God. Thank you that our hands and the works thereof are blessed by you. And the multiplication is exceedingly and abundantly beyond we could ever ask or think. As we sit today and learning from our economists, Lord God, we ask this information resonates and helps us to be better stewards and informants to our community and to our fellow colleagues, Lord Jesus. We ask that each of the households that are represented today are blessed exceedingly and abundantly, that they may be a blessing to another. And we thank you for all that you have given us, the ability to wake up this morning and to have such an event as today. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. All right, so as you know, I am Lyric Armstrong. I am the president of Consolidated Board of Realtists. It is a complete honor to serve this historic organization, as it's been founded 75 years ago. And then we know our National Association 77 years ago. We stand as Realtists because we have been told no for so long that we figured out we can find our own yes. So if you're door knocking or you're doing something within your community and someone is telling you no, just understand it's always a stepping stone. It's always just one more step closer to getting the proper yes. Today, we are here with our economist, William Michael Cunningham. And there you are. So, Mr. William, would you please come off of your video? Are you able to show your video?
I am indeed. Give me a second here. Let me put my tie on.
Tie on? You're gonna get official with us? All right, we're gonna have an official meeting.
Then I'll
No
turn.
worries. Put on your tie, get comfortable. This business suite, much like all of the others that we've done this year, is one of my babies. It is something that I really appreciate for us to have as realtors, as a way of networking, getting more resources, having an understanding about different aspects of business. We did lead generation for a couple of months, and now we're learning more about what economy and news has to do with what we need to have in our toolkit as a salesman of real estate. Now, Mr. Cunningham, I'm sure you are aware, as realtors, our membership is vast. We have developers, we have investors, we have escrow officers, title reps, real estate agents, real estate brokers, lending officers, banks, LOs with banks, as well as mortgage bank reps as well. So we have all those who care about real estate. We also have appraisers and insurance reps. So, you know, you're speaking to a crowd that needs the info, but we come from a very different angles of it. So please go right ahead and give us your best that you can in an hour or less.
Wow. Well, I'd certainly, an hour is a long time, but I'll try to fill it. Firstly, number one, let me thank you all for the attention and for the invitation. I'm seeing that you've got, a lot of people online. I'll, be quick, but also be deliberate with respect to some of the comments. First thing, we'll start off with the big news today is, of course, on inflation and producer prices. I am going to refer, if I can share my screen, actually, which I should be able to do. Okay, I will pull up our website, which talked about the current inflation numbers. There we go. Oh, actually, I should point out that sometimes I have a problem with this installation of Zoom and it kind of kicking off when I share websites. At any rate, producer price index out today, up 0.2%. A lot of and here's the graph. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right. The thing to note here is that it was at 12% back in 2022. So relative to where we were, we are in very good shape, very good positioning. Now I'll put the link to this blog post in the chat room as well, because it goes through the implications of the today's inflation numbers for minority-owned firms. And this is something that might interest you and your members. We'll start off with the retail sector. And basically, depending upon which side of the house you're on, um, you might see some higher costs for minority-owned retail businesses based on these numbers. But again, I would not worry about it too much relative to where we were. Wholesale trade, minority firms involved in wholesale trade um, should actually face reduced profitability if prices go up, as prices tick up a little bit. Here's one that's relevant for your membership: transportation and warehousing. We saw prices for transportation and warehousing services fall, particularly for truck transportation. Um, and that might be, again, if you're on the seller side of the house, that might reduce revenue. Finally, energy and utilities. Energy prices have dropped, and that's very good overall. Of the sectors that I just outlined, the drop in energy prices is the most important. It's the most important because energy is utilized throughout all of the other sectors of the economy. And having this type of steady prices, reduction in prices, we're not seeing gas I know you guys are out in California and you have elevated gasoline prices, but we're still not seeing gas go to $20 a gallon or anything like that, anything crazy. It's stable, relatively stable, dropping a little bit. That's better than the alternative of energy prices going up. So that should be a reason to be optimistic about the economic outlook. That optimism should translate into more people looking at buying homes, should translate into more people actually buying homes. Longer term, it should translate into a reduction in interest rates. We're still forecasting that the Fed is going to cut interest rates in September of 2024, right prior to the election. But they're just waiting for a little room to make that move. But that interest rate reduction is still on the table. That should be good for your markets. And again, we talked about this last time. We know how rates are elevated in your market, in particular in California. We also know, adding on top of that, we also know that rates are elevated for Black people. Black people pay higher interest rates, from a number of perspectives. Still, overall, the economic outlook is very, very positive and should support your business activities. Now, let me go to the CPI, Consumer Price Index. Now, Producer Price Index measures price increases for sellers. Consumer Price Index measures price increase for buyers, consumers, buyers. Producers, sellers, consumers, buyers. That's the way to think about the difference in these types of indexes. On the Consumer Price Index side, released yesterday, consumer prices were down 0.1%. Consumer prices fell down 0.1%. So you say, well, Bill, how can consumer prices be falling and producer prices be increasing? Different timings of purchases, different timings of production activity and purchases. Net, in terms of actual impact on the economic marketplace, I think the consumer price index reduction is the more important one. Why? Because of the implications and the impact for outlook, for the outlook for economic activity. That's what gives me great hope about this. Consumers should see prices staying stable or at least not jumping up by 10%, falling a little bit. And again, most people won't notice the decline in prices. Most people won't, because these are so tiny. But it's better than the alternative. It's better than prices going up by 20%. So what we've seen here is, again, consumer prices coming down by 0.1%. The implications for you all, for your marketplace, gasoline prices falling 3.8% in June on a nationwide basis, not California, not California, but nationwide. Gas prices falling, overall energy costs declining by 2% for 2 consecutive months. Very good sign, given the input of energy into all products, all sectors of the economy, and consistent with what I just said about producer prices. So this is a very good sign. Food, we saw modest increases in food prices, modest increases in food away from home. So the McDonald's Happy Meal, everybody complains about, it's going up, but it's not going up dramatically. Not bad. Stability, that's kind of what we want. Now, I'll kind of skip through a lot of this and go to the implications for minority-owned businesses, including yours. Number one, energy and transportation costs declining. Overall good for economic activity of minority businesses that are reliant on transportation and energy-intensive processes. You guys, your industry, given the amount of driving around you do to show houses, you're reliant on gasoline prices and energy prices. So this should bode well for your industry. I talked about food, and I talked about the modest increase in food prices, particularly food away from home. You're on the road a lot, and you're buying a lot of Happy Meals yourself, kind of stopping and shopping as you go and show homes and shepherd people into home ownership. Another good factor. Another, positive factor. Shelter and insurance. Again, relevant to you guys. We saw as I don't have to tell you guys, we saw increases in the cost of insurance for shelter and for motor vehicles. Insurance costs are going up. The reason is these are kind of the last sticky prices in the sector. Insurance costs are going up because insurance companies know that they can increase prices. Yeah, that's the other thing. Where are you going to go to get insurance? You got to go to a limited number of companies. They know that. You know that. I know that. So they're not under pressure to reduce their prices. Therefore, they're going to keep their prices elevated. Just understand that, make the budget allocations and adjustments required. Now, consumer spending power. This analysis indicates that consumer spending prices might be slightly reduced, and that affects minority businesses that rely on discretionary spending. Discretionary spending is spending that takes place after you paid everything else. So, the flexible spending types of things. So, that might be a potentially minor negative in the economic outlook. But again, relative to where prices could be, relative to where inflation could be, still a positive sign. Number 5, health and personal care. We know that, as with insurance, we know that medical care and personal care prices are not coming down. Why? Because again, hospitals and medical care people know that they can maintain elevated levels of prices. Where are you going to go? You got to get the health care. So we know we got you over a barrel. Therefore, we're not going to reduce our prices. And by the way, that ties to the increases in insurance costs as well. Sticky prices. In industries that are less sensitive to consumer price shopping. They're not sensitive to, again, where are you going to go? You got to get healthcare. So we don't have an incentive to reduce our prices. That's what's going on. But overall, net, the inflation picture looks good. It looks very good, and especially for minority businesses. The fact that consumer prices have come down somewhat on the consumer side, and on the producer side, even though they've gone up, they've only gone up 0.2%, not 10%, not 20%, 0.2%. I'll take it. So the economic outlook is positive. It's better than it was in 2022. It's better than it was in 2021. It's better than it was in 2020 during the midst of the pandemic. So I would say that the outlook is good for you all and for your industry. Obviously, you've got bigger fish to fry with the racist, discriminatory behavior on the part of capital allocators and banks. You've got bigger fish to fry, but the net overarching economic environment is good. It's positive. It's better than it has been, and I would keep that in mind. Now, another thing that we've also seen that there's been some movement in terms of getting people to take a look at, and let me pull up this other article while I'm talking, take a look at corporate purchases of houses. There was a Bloomberg article that talked about a House bill. No, I think it was a Senate bill that is looking at limiting these mega firms from buying a lot of houses. Kind of driving up the market there. Let me find that bill. Hang on for a second. Housing, HOUSING bill. Well, and also, one of the things that happened when Federal Reserve Board Chairman Powell appeared before the Senate Banking Committee and the House Financial Services Committee is that lawmakers did have some questions about housing costs. So bear with me for a second while I pull up this article and share it on the screen here. Bear with me. There we go. All right. Senate everybody see the screen? Raise your hand, thumbs up. You see the screen?
Not yet. It says it's starting. It hasn't populated yet.
Thumbs up.
You see it? It says it's starting for me. Everyone else sees it? I don't.
Thumbs up if you can, and a comment. Come off mute. Let me know if
There
you
we
can
go.
see.
It's good now.
All right. So Senate Democrats make antitrust case against corporate landlords. Why am I telling you guys about this? Because back again.
Oh, okay.
I told you guys I was getting, I guess Michael Bloomberg didn't like me showing you that article. I guess that's what it is.
That's what it was.
Especially with what I'm going to say, which is research that article. Let me put it in the chat room. Bear with me. And I would strongly suggest that your association, your group, write a letter to the Senate Democrats who are making this case against corporate land. And what they're talking about BlackRock and these other firms that are coming in and buying up single family houses. That's what they're talking about, Now, as you guys know, that definitely impacts you all specifically, and it also impacts the Black community because prices go up, can't find the inventory, because it's all been bought up by BlackRock, and even if you can find the inventory, then the prices go up higher than they otherwise would be. So take a look at that article, track down that bill. I'll track down the bill for you if you like, and write a letter to the Senate Democrats. And I would suggest that the letter should say that you oppose all of these big funds coming in and buying up all these single family houses, and especially the impact that it has on the Black community. Why am I suggesting you mention that? Because you've got unique insight into that sector that other groups are not going to have. You can tell the story on a real street level, base to base level that may make the difference as this sort of thing goes forward. Does that make sense? Comments,
Yes.
questions, concerns? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's kind of some of the latest economic news. You know, in terms of other things that we're looking at, we're still focused on the capital access part of things, and especially for you all. Um, kind of in the here, hang on for a second. Economic calendar. There we go. Um, we're looking at supply of capital, the banking sector trying to add some supply in the space, trying to look at things like, I think I mentioned last time, the energy efficient mortgages, using the energy efficient mortgages in the Black community where the housing stock tends to be older. Therefore, energy retrofits pay higher, have a higher impact. So we had mentioned that last time, and we continue to believe that that is a potent solution uniquely that you might be able to bring to bear. I understand all of the issues. Number one, the energy efficient mortgage product is not streamlined as it should be. You got to get the regular mortgage, and you got to get the energy. It's a mess. It's crazy. There's no way that all of that shouldn't be packaged together into one financial product. It is not. It requires you to do the energy retro to get the home loan first, buy the house, then get a separate loan to do the energy retrofitting and efficiency work. That's silly. It just, and in this marketplace where houses are moving so quickly, you don't have time. You don't have time to mess around and to wait, not in a marketplace that's hot. So it should all be put together into one neat package. Of course, it won't be, because the only people that benefit are the home buyers, not the banks. So they really could care less. But there might be some opportunity to advocate and to do some developmental work that would impact the Black community positively by bringing energy efficient mortgages to bear. And I think you guys saw the work that we had done in 2006 on energy efficient mortgages. I will post that link to the chat room here in a second. Now let's take a look at what's coming out next week in terms of economic indicators. You've got the leading economic indicators on Thursday, July 18th at 10 a.m. Fed Chairman Powell is speaking on Monday at 12 p.m. Other than that, it's a pretty light week in terms of economic indicators, but I would encourage you to keep your focus on some of the economic indicators that are coming out. The GDP, obviously the inflation economic indicators whenever they come out. Let's see here, and let me put up the energy efficient mortgage product outline that we have, RESEARCH. Bear with me. All right, hang on for a second. There we go. Let's see here. All right, okay, hang on. Copy link address, and we'll drop that in the chat room. All right, so this is the presentation on energy efficient mortgages. Please take a look at that. This is old. Again, we proposed this back in 2006 because we knew that the financial crisis was coming, and that if you could have developed a suite of energy efficient mortgages in 2006, it would have helped protect the Black community from the negative impact of the financial crisis, which occurred in 2008. Of course, the idea went nowhere. But the concept is still valid in my opinion, and it might be appropriate for you all, for your membership, to take a look at. So that's why let's see here. Did I go? Okay, here we go. That's why I'm suggesting that you take a look at it.
Excellent. So Mr. Cunningham, I don't know if you had more to your presentation, but I have a couple questions, and I think you've kind of covered them, but I just want to make sure that we are taking away the most of your intelligence as we can right now
Well, thank you very
without
much.
having to go through all the classes. um, so for the economic indicators, as we're monitoring anticipated changes in the housing market, I heard you say pay attention to GDP growth, obviously employment rates, and anything that represents consumer confidence. Which one of the links is supposed to relate to that? Did you
Well, number one, the link on the economic calendar that I put up
calendar?
is one that will help. But number two, let me provide you with a couple of other links that will provide added information. I think you're spot on in terms of looking at employment. So here is the most recent blog post that we've done on employment by race and by ethnicity. So that's number one. And then, yes, GDP. Here is the link for the impact of GDP on minority-owned businesses. This is from the most recent listing of GDP or release of GDP numbers. So there you have it. Those are a number of links that can, hopefully you got the links, they're showing up.
Yeah, I see them.
Oh.
Thank you. And then, so we as an advocacy, we're always trying to figure out where do we fit. And I heard a few of your efforts before relative to making the energy efficient mortgage one package, streamlining that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Is there some local policies or economic development influences that we can pay attention to in our real estate market, or even just national economic policies that you haven't already spoken to that we need to have our eyes on for influence of local real estate?
No, I would just say that Senate piece about corporate landlords.
So
I think that's
okay.
I think that's huge. Again, these guys have been coming in and buying up single family houses and taking them off the market, making it difficult not only for Black people to buy houses, but for everybody to buy houses. And they're just sitting on it because they know what the deal is. They sit on them for 10 years. I mean, prices are going to go up. And it's just going to make the distribution of wealth worse. It's going to make so what happened? Our economic analysis is this: during COVID, people recognized the value of having a house, the value of simply having some place where you could go to and hang out for 2 years. You know, people recognize that. People started to say, "Hey, look, I didn't realize how valuable this was because I was spending my time outside of the house. I was bouncing around doing all these other things." Well, when it comes down to it, there's no substitute for having a house where you can go and be protected not only from the elements but from the social factors. And the other group that recognized that were these big venture capital funds and these big hedge funds. They also, I mean, again, this isn't rocket science. They recognize it as well because they had gone through it. So they said, wow, this is an asset that has high hidden value. We underestimated just the value of just having a place where you could go, in this type situation. So they decided they were going to buy up all of the inventory that they could, and they've been doing so. I don't tell you guys, they have, and it's dangerous. It's bad. It's really bad. Y'all can't get a dime for mortgages. They got all the money. They don't have to go to a bank because they're sitting on top of the money themselves. Uh-oh. Hang on for a second. I don't know what happened there. They're sitting on top of the money themselves. Therefore, they don't have the same capital constraints that you do. That means they can move fast. They can move very, very fast. So that's very bad. It's very, very, and it's especially bad for the Black community because we barely get in. We got all kinds of capital access supply issues. If we're lucky enough to get a mortgage loan, You know, we got to go through extra hoops that even just white home purchases don't have to go to. So then you add on top of that a $500 billion fund that can move very, very quickly. It's just not good. So I would suggest that you focus your advocacy efforts on that. And the other reason why I'm suggesting that, apparently you got some help. You got some people in the Senate who are recognizing that, and looks like they're trying to do something about it. Your voice is critical. Your voice is unique, and it's absolutely critical to that type of effort. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. I thank you for that. That's a great direction. And truthfully, that does help when someone else is already looking at it. You just adding to their viewpoint. It helps you to get a little further. Um, we didn't touch on global trends. So I don't know if you feel like there's global trends that are impacting real estate, such things as trade policies or international market shifts. But if so, is there anything you can help us to identify that and what we can do as agents?
There are a couple of things. Number one, the whole currency. You know, we've been focused on currency, the role of the US dollar as global reserve currency, and the impact of Bitcoin on that positioning. That's still, I saw that there's a group called BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, that has been started. And I saw something about them creating their own currency. That will have big impacts if they're able to get that off the ground, in terms of the role of the US dollar. The idea is people are a little tired of depending upon the US dollar to complete international transactions. Therefore, they want their own currency so they don't have to depend upon the US dollar. Well, that will significantly reduce the demand for US dollars, which will lead to an increase in US interest rates over time. As the demand for dollars comes down, interest rates go up, other things equal. So
And
that's, go
how
ahead.
do we research that news? What outlet is giving information relative to the currency on a global stage?
Well, there are none that I trust, and you kind of have to make up the news yourself. What I would suggest you look at is a group called the Government Blockchain Association. Government Blockchain Association, which blockchain is the underlying technology behind digital currency and behind Bitcoin. So
Mhm.
this is a government, so it's not formal, it's not a part of the US government. It's an independent kind of trade association, but it consists of governments from around the world. They've got probably about 200, 300 governments that are part of this grouping. It's another thing you want to keep your eye on. You want to kind of look to see what they're doing. You want to join, you know, so that you can hear the talk about. And the reason I'm recommending them is because that's kind of an independent source. The problem with a lot of the other news sources is that they're
Yeah,
biased.
right,
They're
right.
pushing something, they are pushing Bitcoin, or they're pushing some digital coin that they create. You know, it's crazy. But you have to do a little work, but that's kind of going to the source and monitoring what's going on. The other thing I will recommend is, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but I'll put it in the chat room. Certainly our free course, Udemy, on Bitcoin and on blockchain. Also, I'm getting a little lag time here.
You're coming through for me.
Okay, hang on. I think I have to close out some windows. I've got a bunch of windows open. Um,
Okay. Uh,
so our
Can we
course,
can we can we, can we put that government blockchain in the chat, please? Is
yeah,
that possible?
okay.
yeah, we'll do.
Will do, Carl. Thank you. Um, let's see. Government.
100 ways.
Wait, what?
So,
Mute yourselves, please. We're partying and we're learning at the same time. I love it.
all good. That's all good. All right, so this is the link for Government Blockchain Association. Um, take a look at what they are, hey, okay. So take a look at them. I know we've got a question. Give me a second. Let me close out some windows, see if I can.
No worries. Yeah, we have one question in the chat. I have one more question. I just want to make sure you're ready to just take questions, or if you had more information you wanted us to know.
No, bear with me here. Let me close out of some things and resource. Right. Uh-oh. I hope I didn't close out of Zoom. No, I didn't. I'm still on.
Are you
Okay.
here?
Okay. Um, uh, bear with me. Oh yeah, the Udemy class,
You know what I mean?
free class, UDEMY.
Okay.
That I would suggest you take. Let's see here. Bear with me, Cunningham. There we go. All right. Hang on. Yeah, my computer's really slowing down.
That's okay. We appreciate your efforts, so we're willing to wait a little.
All right.
Um,
So this is the Bitcoin class that, and it's free, that I would encourage you to take a look at. You'll also see our other class on how to finance a Black woman-run business, another free class, which I would encourage you guys to both take and distribute. And we're in the process of updating that second class, by the way. So yeah.
all right, excellent. So we have a couple questions in the chat. I have the last question. So let's deal with the chat for a little bit while you are putting things there.
Yep.
For our usage. So LJ is given, just wants to have a refresher relative to, I guess, the corporate landlord circumstance that the Senate was going forth. Her precise question is, unfortunately, she may have missed some of it, but what is your economic advice on defending against the multifamily acquisition boom? And these investors, quote unquote, repurposing those properties for corporate and affluent housing in areas needing affordable housing.
So the first thing I would do if I were you guys is I would alert my customer base that this is going on. A lot of people aren't really aware. So I do a one pager, you know, and when I went out to talk to, well, I think I probably put that on the website gently, you know, I mean, there's a way to do it where you're not trying to tick them off, because I don't want you to excite them to come after you. But at the same time, you might do it as a market information piece. Hey, here's what's going on in the market, you know, because again, a lot of people are unaware that these big firms are coming in and buying up all of these properties, you know. It would be interesting to have a map of all of the corporate purchases in your marketplace, right? We have little red pins for purchases of, hang on, turn my phone down. Where you have little red pins of every purchase of a corporate purchase. That would be one thing to do. That's hard to do, and I'm not. I hear you. If I were to approach that as you, the way I would do it is I would go to some of the local schools, colleges, and the information departments, the computer, and I get some interns to put that together for me. But you know, that's a longer term. There we go. That's a longer term process. So that's number one. Just alerting your customer base that this is going on. I might even do a market alert in terms on your website in terms of why are prices going up so much. Well, one of the reasons why prices are going up is because we got all these big corporate entities that are coming up buying all these products, you know. So just alerting people, letting them know that that's going on. Number one. Number two, at the local level, and Madam President, you asked about kind of local initiatives. So talk to your city council people, your county council people, all these other people, you know. Again, same idea. Hey, did you all know that this was going on? There's a Senate bill. This is why I love the Senate piece. All you're going to do is send them the Senate bill. So you're going to, hey, look, here's the thing. You don't even have to do the work. All you got to do is just send them the Senate bill. And and with a notation that it's impacting your marketplace. You know, here's the national thing, here's the local impact of this activity. These guys aren't making it up at the Senate level. There's actual impact on our streets. Here's what the deal is. That's kind of how I would approach that. There's some other strategies that we can talk about. I don't want to talk about them on a recorded line. So there's some other things that we can talk about. Carl, you should hit me up. Well, and also Miss Armstrong, if you like it. We can kind of talk about some other ways to approach that. But
okay, thank you so much. Now, just to be clear relative to the classes, I wrote down UDEMY, but when I looked that up, I'm not necessarily seeing the precise classes you spoke of, and they didn't link in the chat. Are you still putting them in the chat?
I'm still putting them in the chat. Let me.
Okay. So I don't want to.
I think it went to one person. Let me actually.
Oh, that special person is holding on. Share. Be share. Share with us all, special one. Okay. That happens sometimes.
Right. Here, did that show up?
Yes, we got that one.
Right. And here's the one on Black women financing.
Okay, so I do have the right spelling. Okay, perfect. Yes, we got both of them now. So thank you. So another question that we had out of the chat. So good morning, obviously, and thank you, Mr. Cunningham. What are your thoughts on the real market for the remainder of the real estate market for the remainder of the year? There are some economists feel we will be flat. What do you think? Are we flatlining this year?
No, I think prices are going to continue to increase. You still eat, no matter what advocacy work you implement now about these corporate buyers of single family houses. It's going to take a while for that to move to the marketplace. Therefore, they're going to continue to bid prices up over the course of this year until you can start to focus attention on them. That's number one. Number two, the demand side is still very, very strong. People are still understanding that housing has added value. Just having a house has added value in this environment. So that's another reason why we think housing prices are going to continue to go higher. Number three, we do think that interest rates are going to come down, that the Fed is going to reduce interest rates. That's going to add another boost to housing market demand, you know? So for those reasons, we think the market is going to continue. You're going to see increases in demand, increases in prices, reductions in interest rates. That's key for a very hot market.
So I know you don't want to go too deep on a recorded line, but I'm a person of candor and I just can't hold back. I am concerned because in one regard, we have the administration saying, we're going to lower prices and we're looking for housing to be more affordable to the people. On the other hand, they're saying we're going to change the industry structure for real estate professionals and how they're getting paid so that it quote unquote helps you. Whereas I don't necessarily agree that those two things align. I don't think the results will actually yield what they are forecasting. But nevertheless, in your viewpoint, are we safe to be secure, or should we be secure enough in our industry to say, regardless of what DOJ is doing, regardless of how they are looking to restructure the real estate market and the real estate agents, commissions and different aspects of the market and how the industry is run, that our focus on helping our clients is relative to what they will do in terms of interest rates? That's what's going to kind of balance that out, because if they have to come out of pocket paying their home buyer, but the interest rate is lower, is that where the balance is coming? I'm not sure.
You're in a perfect position. Point them to the big guys. Get them off of don't have them focus on you. And I'm serious about that. Write letters to DOJ, look at their efforts, their regulatory efforts. Okay, hey, you all should be and that's where they want to focus. They don't want to focus on you. They want to focus on the big guys, because the big guys have been causing problems in the marketplace and taking more than their fair share of commissions out of the marketplace. You don't have that problem. You're on the other end of the market. You're on the other end of the bell curve. Therefore, just work with them to attack the big guys, the big real estate companies, not only the big funds, but also the big real estate companies. Beat up on those guys, that would be one of the suggestions I would make. Now, you would like to get a carve out for your commissions for helping Black people buy houses. You actually would. Hey, look, I'm helping Black people buy. I should get an extra 10% in commission because this is hard. I'm joking, but I'm not joking.
Oh, yeah.
You
I'm not
can
joking.
case that your commissions are too low because of the added work that you have to go through based on the racist discrimination of the banks, the redlining that has taken place in the real estate market over the course of the past 85 years. All this, put that case together. Put that case together. Again, that will help you. When I say point DOJ at the big guys, that's what I mean, and you're going to go in with data and with facts that point, hey, look, we know that these banks were discriminating against Black mortgage applicants over the course of the past 90 years, all right? And we know that I got to do more work as a Black real estate agent to actually make one sale that the white guys don't have to. I got more costs. I got to spend more time. There's more discrimination. There's more stuff I got to do. My costs are higher than they are. Therefore, you should give me a carve out. Now, the way to get that carve, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do to get that carve out. What you need is an added tax credit for your efforts. So at the end of the year, you say, listen, I'm a Black real estate agent. I run this business. I made $200,000 over the course of the year. My expenses, you got my expenses at $100,000, but you should actually give me a tax credit so that my expenses are shown as $150,000, so that my tax liability goes down. That is again, that's the way to do it, but that's a heavy lift. That is, everybody wants a tax credit. Most 99% of them unfairly. You're the one group of people that deserve a tax credit, and it would be difficult for you to get one, even though you deserve it. I can make the case, I just did, that your costs are higher. Your costs are higher. So what you need to do is to start to document that and that your costs are higher. You lose out on more deals. It takes you more time to close a deal. The racial discrimination of the banks makes it harder for borrowers to get loans. That adds 6 months to the process, whatever. Y'all have all of that data. So start to pull that data together and make that case. Does that make sense?
Yep, I love it. Got it. It's helping me a great deal. So I thank you. Now, with regards to our other question in the chat, some lenders require corporate entities when they are obtaining financing. So how do you differentiate between the big guys versus other people?
Well, fortunately, the big guys will do that for you because they're so greedy and they're advertising so much that they'll be out there kind of talking about how big they are, So I would say lean on social media sources, lean on advertising, lean on other sources to let them self-identify as big guys, okay?
Right.
And again, this is where having a bunch of interns or market research people can help you out. Y'all should have, and I say this, I should have a lot of things which I don't have, including, by the way, a house. We need to talk about that.
Yeah, we do.
Y'all should have a group of people that are monitoring the market overall, just monitoring, just watching what's going on. I know you all do it. I know you do it on a daily basis, regularly. Doesn't UCLA have like a real estate institute or department?
I think it's USC, the Rossi one?
USC, that's right. So what do they got? Can you piggyback on what they're doing? I know Georgetown has a good real estate department, but they're not doing this. They're not really, they should be. And I'm trying to get them to move.
Georgetown. I love it over there. Yeah, no, we're too far away. Okay, someone
UCLA
saying
does also.
UCLA does have one too. Thank you so much.
So
Um,
ping those guys, and,
mhm.
and what you're going to ask them is for assistance in monitoring the market overall. You know, big guys, small guys, corporate. Remember, we talked about corporate buying of single family houses. Does anybody have that database or index of corporations buying? Somebody should,
Yeah, we do. We have it.
corporations buying single family house. Uh-oh. Am I? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're here.
Corporations buying single family houses in Black communities. That's another thing that you might be able to add. Remember, one of the things I said, and I'll send this um one of the things I had said, I'm thinking about where to find that video. I talked about letting each other know what's going on. We must move to a collaborative approach as opposed to a competitive approach. Black people have been misdirected to be all competitive, and it shows up in the popular culture, the rappers, the football player, basketball player. I mean, good grief, we have the worst industrial policy of any group. We focus on an industry where there are 450 jobs in the National Basketball Association, 450 jobs, or the NFL. I don't know how many jobs there are on the field in the NFL, but it's a pittance relative to your population. There's no way we should be focused on those industries, especially when we don't own the teams. It'd be different if we own the teams, we own the arenas, we had all of the vending spaces. Yeah, that's, that would be a different approach, but that's not what we're talking about. So, a collaborative approach where you guys aggressively let each other know what's going on in the marketplace. Aggressively. Hey, I saw this house for sale on Crenshaw. Anybody know anything about that's the way to get through. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much. So Sherry kind of touched, our Madam Sherry Bailey touched a little bit on my last question. But this is the last question I have for you, and then you can end it any which way you feel is best. Specifically, so what are the long-term economic forecasts that might affect housing market? I understand we talked about maybe this year in September, but is there anything futuristic in next year or even beyond that we should be astute to?
Sure, you certainly want to look at AI and the impact of AI on what you do. Can you be replaced by an AI? I don't know, but it's coming, you know. Obviously the 3D printing market and the impact of 3D printing, the impact of small houses, tiny houses on the marketplace. Also, another thing to keep your eye on. But number one certainly has to be the AI. It's impacting all different marketplaces. It's hard for me to think of a way that AI can replace you, but yeah, I'm sure there is a way. I'm sure some guys are thinking about a way to replace you with AI. Just because you get commissions. That's all. They're after those commissions, which are declining, but they don't care. They want every dollar, every dime, every penny they can get. They're trying to take away from it. Let me think about other things. Well, obviously, the political situation is concerning in terms of in a move to the extreme right. I mean, extreme right wing. You won't have to worry about houses because you'll be in the camps. Along with me, I'll be there. I'll be right there with you. So you got to keep that. You got to keep your eyes peeled for that as well.
Well, I appreciate you. Is there anything that you wanted to cover that we didn't get to, or did we touch on a
No,
little bit of everything?
I think it was thank you for the opportunity. I hope this was helpful. The feedback in the chat room tends to indicate that, you
Yes.
all got something out of this, and that's my goal here. So I appreciate the invitation, your ability to pick up on this information, and happy to help out.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cunningham. I really appreciate you. I am so grateful that we can pull you from all the way on the East Coast to the West Coast here through Zoom. And I appreciate that you are able to get on with us whenever we ask.
I appreciate that too. One last thing I'll say.
Yes.
Please send me the Zoom. Last time we had a problem with me getting the Zoom recording of this meetings. If you send me a copy of the Zoom recording, I would appreciate that just for a document, just to have it.
Well, I don't know about last time, but this time you will have just that. Thank you
you, ma'am.
so much. All right, Realtists, thank you for your time. I know we went over a little bit, but Mr. Cunningham was awesome. And I hope that this really does assist with your business practices and implementing different techniques and research ability to be more impactful. This business suite was geared towards understanding our marketplace, how to adjust to it, how to communicate relative to the marketplace. So if anyone does not have the ability to download the chat, please let me know so we can get that over to you. I know I got Queen's request and maybe a couple of others. So if there's anyone else that needs the chat, let me know. Make sure we have your email address so we can email it over to you. And of course, Mr. Cunningham, without fail, I will give you the Zoom. This Zoom actually will be on our, okay, Madam Curry, got you. But just make sure I have your actual email address too, okay? Okay, thank you. And so this Zoom is called our Business Suite, and our Business Suite goes up on our YouTube, and that happens about 2 weeks after the Business Suite. So within the next 2 weeks, this will be up publicly, so you'll be able to have it as a member benefit. So if you're not a member, guys, look, we're doing things here at Consolidated. Each week we're meeting, we're networking on Wednesdays. Every month we're intentionally mentoring and ensuring those that are new or have questions within the marketplace and are unsure of the changes have someone to go to get those questions answered, as well as marketing and branding concerns, lead generation. We provide lead generation through our various partners. And today, like today, we have Business Suite. We've had a business structure the last couple of the last Business Suite, I think a month ago, and the month before that, we had an author who if you got a story, we each do. We need to tell our stories because we don't want them to. Okay, okay, thank you, Shelly. I got your message. Don't want them to start writing us outside of history. Okay, sorry guys. Everything's making noises. Sorry, thought I turned it off. I apologize. Nevertheless, I am very proud to be the president of Consolidated Board of Realtists. As I said, 75 years is nothing to sneeze at. This organization has been around helping people in this very way on getting through the marketplace. Understand that, okay, Robert, got your message. Understand that just because the market is changing does not mean that you have to leave. It just gives you the opportunity to show how amazing you are and creative in adaptation. So take this information, apply it to your business. Thank you all for coming on. I appreciate you. Enjoy your Friday. We have lots of things coming up. If you are needing to join and become a Realtist, the link is in the chat, which is bit.ly BA Realtist. And then we have next week, next Wednesday, we're going to be dealing with finances with Women's Council. Women's Council is going to show businesses on how small businesses can get money, grants, and so forth of lending to help you become more influential and get the capital necessary to actually grow your business. And then after that, on Saturday, the 20th, we have partnered up with Bethel AME through our faith-based initiative to help bring financial literacy, career development, success, I think it's schools of success, that will help establish our relationships within our community with our youth. So we're not just rolling with the adults, we're also helping the youth so that they can have a good transition into what could be a very different America than what we know it as of right now. Consequently, if you have any desire to be a part of that, reach out to Shelly Johnson, and that's our faith-based chair, or Carl Rackens, who is the faith-based co-chair. And then next Saturday, we will have the Highway to Home Ownership, Blueprint to Home Ownership. So this is the spinoff of Home Fair. So if someone could make it to Home Fair and they tried to register, and I know registration got locked at some point and they couldn't get in, or it was on a day that they had something else to do, invite them back out on the 27th so that they can get to Highway to Home Ownership, Blueprint to Home Ownership. This will be a great opportunity for them not to be overwhelmingly informed, but to have the pertinent information for them to become homeowners. And next month, we are getting geared up for our house party, which is our pre-approval day. So look out for information on that. That will be where we go on site. People will be able to get pre-approved on site, get counseling, sign up for their first-time homebuyer counseling. So we have a lot going on, a lot. Appreciate you. Hope you have a very great day. And thank you for being a blessing and continue to be a blessing. All right, Lyric Armstrong, talk to you guys later.